Good Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it to Tuesday, but it's also the last day of the month of May, so welcome to May 31st. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up today. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you've been part of my conversation with author Amy Daughters discussing her new book, Dear Dana. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Tuesday headlines. In national news, Biden sees chance of rational Republican approach on guns. President Joe Biden said Monday that the Second Amendment was never absolute and that after the Texas elementary school shooting, there may be some bipartisan support to tighten restrictions on the kind of high-powered weapons used by the gunman. I think things have gotten so bad that everybody's getting more rational. At least that's my hope, Biden told reporters before honoring the nation's fallen in Memorial Day remarks at Arlington National Cemetery. His comments came a day after he traveled to the shattered Texas community of Uvalde, mourning privately for 3+ hours with anguished families, grieving for the 19 children and 2 teachers who died in the shooting. Faced with chance of do something as he departed a church service, Biden pledged, "We will." After the Uvalde trip, Biden spent Sunday night at his home in Delaware. As he arrived at the White House for Memorial Day events, he was asked if he's now more motivated to see new federal limits imposed on firearms. "I've been pretty motivated all along," he said. "I'm going to continue to push and we'll see how this goes," he said. In Congress, a bipartisan group of senators talked over the weekend to see if they could reach even a modest compromise on gun legislation after a decade of mostly failed attempts. That's included encouraging state red flag laws to keep guns away from those with mental health problems. The Second Amendment was never absolute, Biden said. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. You couldn't go out and buy a lot of weapons, he said. Later, the President and the First Lady, Jill Biden, were joined by Vice President Kamala Harris, the Second Gentleman, Defense Secretary, and Mark Milley, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, at Arlington National Cemetery for a wreath-laying ceremony at the tomb of the unknown soldier. In a related story, governors diverge on gun control, school security efforts. As the nation mourns the victims of its latest mass shooting, 19 elementary school students and 2 teachers gunned down in Texas, Democratic governors are amplifying their calls for greater restrictions on guns. Many Republican governors are emphasizing a different solution, more security at schools. The divide among the nation's governors mirrors a partisan split that has stymied action in Congress and many state capitals over how best to respond to a record-high number of gun-related deaths in the United States. The political differences tap deep into the country's roots, highlighting the tensions between life, liberty, and the constitutional rights spelled out in the nation's founding documents. After the massacre Tuesday at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, the Associated Press asked governors across the U.S. whether they believed their states had an obligation to reduce mass shootings and violence committed with guns, and if so, how to do that. In more national news, Biden to meet Fed chair as inflation bites pocketbooks. President Joe Biden will meet today with Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell as soaring inflation takes a bite out of Americans' pocketbooks. The meeting will be the first since Biden renominated Powell to lead the central bank and comes weeks after his confirmation for a second term by the Senate. The White House said the pair would discuss the state of the U.S. and global economy, and especially inflation, described as Biden's top economic priority. The goal, the White House said, is a transition from historic economic recovery to stable, steady growth that works for working families. Inflation in the U.S. hit a 40-year high earlier this year amid supply chain constraints caused by the global economy's recovery from the pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In more national news, Master P's daughter Tatiana dead at 29. Overwhelming grief, the rapper says. Tatiana Miller's brother Romeo, who was with her on Growing Up Hip Hop, posted a similar message. Tatiana Miller, the daughter of Master P, died on Sunday, May 29th. Her father announced the loss via social media. Romeo Miller also shared the news of his sister's passing in a similar fashion. The Daily Mail reports that rapper and entrepreneur Master P, whose real name is Percy Miller, shared an image via Instagram coupled with a statement regarding the loss of his daughter. Tatiana publicly struggled with substance abuse but had the full support of her father and brother Romeo, as seen on the series Growing Up Hip Hop. During a segment of the program, the pair staged an intervention to steer Tatiana onto the path of sobriety. And finally, in entertainment news, Top Gun Maverick wins Tom Cruise's first $100 million opening. Forget breaking the sound barrier. Tom Cruise just flew past a major career milestone. The 59-year-old superstar just got his first $100 million opening weekend with Top Gun Maverick. In its first 3 days in North American theaters, the long-in-the-works sequel earned an estimated $124 million in ticket sales. Including international showings, its worldwide total is $248 million. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Your emotions influence your thoughts, and your thoughts create your choices and actions. Through understanding how your emotions influence your thoughts, you become knowledgeable of how your thoughts create your choices for your actions. As an emotion comes up, feel it as you create the thought you want, positive or negative. You always have a choice. Before you choose an action based on a thought, make certain your action is coming from your rational mind. To make sure your rational mind is in control, work through your negative emotions while you harness positive emotional power. Now you can feel positive emotions, think positive thoughts, and make wise choices that will guide you to achieving your goals and dreams. Today, realize your emotions are meant to serve you rather than be served by you. And as always, enjoy the day.
We have part of my conversation coming up with author Amy Daughters in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Author Amy Daughters joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to discuss her new book, Dear Dana, That Time I Went Crazy and Wrote All 580 of My Facebook Friends a Handwritten Letter. This was a great conversation. Here's a bit of it.
Well, look, I have to say, when this book was first pitched to me, I was already intrigued with it. But after I read it, I thought, wow, this book, I feel like, Amy, is near and dear to me because the reason I started this radio show now 19 years ago is because I realized the power of words and the impact our words can have on others. I didn't know it would grow the way it has grown from being here in my home state of Mississippi and now being heard the way it is. But your book, I think, really shows the same thing, the power that words can have. I want to start there. What has that been like for you to realize not only the power you have with words, but how that power has been used to help others?
Well, the story starts with me reconnecting with my friend Dana on Facebook, me finding out about her son being ill, us developing a pen pal relationship. And so that's step one for me with the power of words. Here's this random Facebook person who I'm exchanging, thoughts and feelings through the mail. And I had no idea, Cyrus, because we had no electronic, any kind of instantaneous communication for 2 years. But the power in sharing, just through written words was so profound that that's what inspired me to write the nearly 600 letters. And I had no idea the impact it would have on me, but the impact it had on everyone, even though all the recipients, in the first paragraph of the letter, I would tell them I'm writing everyone. They still felt so individually, they're like, oh, I got picked when I was picking everyone. It amazed me over and over again, the profound impact, not my words, but the act of, deliberately reaching out to somebody in the social media age could have. Cyrus
Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversation Daily News. We'll be able to get on tomorrow for more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host Cyrus Webb saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.